What's happening guys, King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new Great League video. Today, I'm going to be showcasing another very strong team in the Great League, which I showcased earlier in the season, which is CBLI in the lead, which picks up a lot of very neutral or good leads, Azumarill and Reggie in the back. I think in this current meta, Registeel is looking very strong. If you have a look at the rank 1 in PvPoke, you're looking straight at Lickitung. This Pokemon does really well there. You're seeing a lot of teams with Polygraph and Lickitung. Zap Cannon can of course hit both of those Pokemon, or of course, in Lickitung's case, you have Focus Blast. I've noticed this week in the Great League following the Retro Cup and the Holiday Cup, the Dragon usage is through the roof. I'm seeing a lot more Charmers as well, of course trying to combat the Dragons. I'm seeing Azumarill. I tried this team out again this week and it's done quite well. And if you even look at some of the negative matchups it has, it beats Deoxys in the zeros, it beats Vigoroth in the zeros, it beats Polygraph in the zeros, it can beat Medicham in the zeros, providing that it's not on Dynamic Punch. You beat Talonflame in the zeros. This Pokemon is the zeros king, and it is back to claim its throne in the Great League. This Pokemon sort of went down in usage quite a lot. The early rankings this season had Skarmory ranked number 1, the preseason rankings had Azumarill number 1, so the rankings have basically been all over the place this season. And what I have noticed this week in the Great League especially is we're seeing a ton of those Bastiodon, Victreebel, and of course Medicham or Wigglytuff teams. Registeel beats that entire line, it just beats the whole team. If I uploaded that team, I would have a comment in the comment section saying, "Yo, my Registeel beats your whole line, bro." And it's true. It's very true. I think Reggie's great in this meta. And we're going to have another look at it today. We have CPLI in the lead, which is doing really well in the lead at the moment. You're not really getting a ton of Charmer leads. I do believe I do have a Charm lead later in the video, which I do manage to overcome. I would say generally speaking, you're getting a lot of very positive leads with CPLI, or at the very least, very neutral leads. That's why I like it. It's just very neutral. I enjoy neutral Pokemon, or Pokemon that do well into the meta. I think Pokemon like Skarmory, for example, are very RPS Pokemon, right? It only has flying attacks and steel attacks, not very dynamic, whereas things like Sableye, it just has great coverage with Shadow Claw, Foul Play, and Return. I think a Pokemon that we may see return quite soon is Carbink. Having a look at the meta and some of the stuff we're seeing quite recently, I do actually think Carbink could be quite decent. And last but certainly not least, Azumarill, just an absolute tank. Buffed Bubble, a massive improvement for this Pokemon. It might be this match that you might see, this match against Sandslash. At some point it will be Azu versus Sandslash, and yeah, so they swap out, they catch the Foul Play on their own Azu. But you're going to see a massive difference in that matchup. We haven't seen a ton of Sandslash this season, and you're going to see a huge difference. You can actually bubble that Pokemon down now, whereas before it was completely depressing. Anyway guys, with all that being said, let's hop on into the battles. I do have to say really quickly, the support on the last two videos especially, they're both sitting over 5k man. Thank you very much for the support in the videos, it's very much appreciated. Also, in those videos, I've probably gained the most subs from those two videos ever, out of any two videos, so big thank you, it's very much appreciated. And if you haven't yet joined us, feel free to subscribe, it is absolutely free, and once again guys, thank you for all the support. Alright, now hopping into the battles, we're gonna go for the Zap Cannon here. You do beat Deoxys in the zeros, and they still have a Sandslash, so I decided to bank a little bit of energy and come into my Azu. This will be a Thunderbolt, this will absolutely chunk, so I'm like, you know what, I might as well throw a shield up on Azu here, and like to basically try to get off 2 Ice Beams. I can handily eat 1 Thunderbolt, but of course 2 would be sort of pushing it. The opponent is shielding here, trying to basically look to get rid of my Azu. We've now got them until the point where Ice Beam does KO, and you can see the bubble damage really adding up on this. We go for 2 and Fro, because if I went for 3 and Fro, I think they would have got to the Psycho Boost. Also, if you throw 2 bubbles, basically you're not taking the damage from the final counter. The opponent throws in the low health Azu, and in comes Sandslash, guys. I make a bit of a mistake here by going for Ice Beam. I thought the opponent was going to throw the move straight away. I wanted to try and get this damage off. I come in with Sableye and catch the move. That's absolutely huge. That is absolutely huge. I would much rather have Azu in this situation with all the health that it has to try and bubble us down. And as you can see, the bubbles are just absolutely chunking. Good games well played there to the opponent. And, you know, Sandslash is quite interesting in this meta. We are starting to see a lot more lanterns and things. So I wonder if Sandslash will be quite good. We're also seeing, like I said, a lot of dragons. So I feel like Sandslash could actually play a very similar role to Reggie in what I'm doing with this team. However, I just don't like the double weakness to counter. And that's why I do much prefer Reggie in this team as opposed to something like Sandslash. In comes Dragonair, we have 2 amazing answers. However, I am greedy and I do want to get a shield advantage for my back 2 Pokemon. We'll keep this alive, we'll come into Reggie right here. Actually, believe it or not guys, in the 2s, this match gets quite close between Dragonair and Azu, because bubbles don't really add up that much. And of course, the Body Slam spam is real with Dragonair. It does a lot of damage to Azu. It's actually quite surprising how well it does against Azu. The opponent does not want to go down to shield, so let that go. And they come back in with Lantern. This is another matchup for Registeel that is perfectly fine. Also, another reason I wanted to throw in Reggie instead of Azu, it's basically because Reggie has another really decent matchup against Lantern on the other side, and I don't particularly want my Azu to get sparked down. I'd rather see what's in the back. The opponent shields up that move, so I'm like, okay, this is a little bit suspicious. Maybe you're quite weak to this in the back, so let me just shield up here, try to get off a Zap Cannon. I thought they were going to go for a catch, and I knew they weren't getting to the move, so I decided to go for a Zap Cannon just to be safe here. And in comes Altaria, in comes Azu. The opponent immediately top lefts. Good games, well played. And for those of you guys who've been playing GBL for a lot longer than I have, this is apparently a very classic team. I've heard about this team quite a lot. I never really had the chance to try it until this season, and I've got to say I very, very much like it. I wanted to leave this match in, bro, because I think the one thing you can learn from that game is, if you ever get a very, very good counter swap, and you have like a hard wall like Reggie to Azu, you can get that massive overfarm. Now we have an Azu lead, very negative lead for us. However, once again, Sableye can do decently well here. Now what I'm hoping for is the opponent to throw in a good timing, so it means I can get off my return and dip. The opponent throws in alignment just to get off the move first, and I am going to launch a return here. This will do about 50% to the Azu, they know that, and they're going to go ahead and shield it. Now what I'm trying to do is basically look to catch, the opponent does not fall for it, and they come into a Trevenant. So we've seen Azumarill, we're now seeing Trevenant. For those of you once again who are classic GBL players, what do you think might be in the back? Azumarill, Trevenant. It's most likely going to be Double Ghost, a very, very classic team, and a pretty cool team. It looks like a fun one, however, I'm not sure how well it works. I think Trevenant and Sableye on the same team in this meta. Definitely a little bit risky. The opponent goes for a Seed Bomb here. We, of course, do grab their final shield and we come into Sableye here. We overfarmed appropriately before, which means we get this off before they get the Shadow Ball. I believe Trevenant wins the zeros against Sableye because of that heavy hitting damage. We come in and catch the move on Reggie. This is pretty huge here. This should be a resisted player off, so that's a pretty huge catch. The opponent still has a Sableye, which I do have in mind here. I'm going to go for an appropriate overfarm, get off the Zap Cannon before they get off a foul play. Sableye can basically do the most damage to me, and unfortunately we don't get the debuff. And I'm thinking here, Sableye, these moves are going to hit harder than the Azu's moves. And actually guys, I wasn't sure from this range if a Focus Blast would KO or not, so I do go for Zap Cannon. In the future guys, if you're ever in this position, just go for Focus Blast. It is a little bit cheaper, and it will take it out from there. Now, as you can see here, we're stuck in with Azu. The opponent only can really do a lot of damage if they have Hydro Pump. They go for player off. So that's good games, well played, guys. We're going to go straight for the Zap Cannon. We're going to forget about good timing. We're just going to go straight for it. One thing to keep in mind is, Azu can never store back-to-back moves. So if they throw their first move, you can always do a couple of lock-ons or whatever and get the move off. Now, in this next match, pretty neutral lead. It's a pretty awkward Pokemon for the whole team. Reggie completely destroys it, but it does have Drill Run. Azu does fine against it, but again, like, the moves are resisted on both sides. And if they start going for Icy Wind, it gets a bit awkward. The opponent ends up shielding the first move. I'm going to decide to let this go, thinking it's probably an Icy Wind. The opponent, of course, wants to lower my attack, get the damage down from Sableye. This will be just another Icy Wind, but I do have to shield it at this point if I do want to keep my Sableye alive. I go for 4 and throw for good timing. Even though double debuffed, we're still going to do quite a lot of damage with this, and I think we might even just about get to the foul play in time. So the opponent's going to have to make the choice. Do you want to give up your final shield to take this lineup? They do actually give up their last shield. That's absolutely perfect. And I think at this point, guys, I'm going to come into Reggie and look to get an aggressive lock on. I'm thinking they're probably going to go for Drill Run here, which they do, but it doesn't do that much damage. And look at the amount of energy we're getting here. This is kind of insane. I'm going to let this next move go as well. Save a shield for whatever's in the back. And in comes Stinky Binky. We're going to go straight for the Zap Cannon. We're basically hoping for an attack debuff here. That would definitely help a lot. We do not get it, unfortunately. However, we're going to be able to force the opponent to further energy here. I make a choice here that I can actually get this quite low, and Azu doesn't have the greatest matchup in the world against this if you don't have Hydro Pump. However, now that we've landed 2 Zap Cannons, this is basically game over. We can look to more or less bubble it the whole way down, and yeah, the opponent should be seeing the writing on the wall here. 1 Moonblast does not do anywhere close to enough. The match in the zeros between Carbink and Azu without Hydro Pump is relatively close. The opponent comes into a Superior of all things. This is looking a little bit tricky. I sort of wish I kept my my Registeel a little bit healthier. We do get to the Ice Beam. Unfortunately, the opponent decides to get to the Frenzy. Pretty interesting team from the opponents. Dugong, this thing right here, and Carbink. Definitely quite an interesting team. Good games. Quite an interesting team, and it just kind of goes to show you that against certain teams, Carbink can do very well. I have started seeing a few more Umbreons in the meta, and Carbink even beats things like Lantern in the zeros, Trevenant in the zeros. It's quite a busted Pokemon. The opponent goes for the big Scald here. I'm going to go for Return. I don't know, I feel like I should be going for baits here. Oh, the opponent just lets it go, never mind. And we even get off a foul play on the Talonflame. That's absolutely huge. The opponent was trying to call the bait. The opponent lets them move through. And at this point, guys, they're in prime bubble down position. Now, most Talonflames are in fly. So I decided, okay, we'll set this through. It is a Brave Bird. It does about 50%. And in comes Dragonair. I could have actually stayed in to grab the shield off the opponent first, but I realized that Reggie is just so bad against Talonflame. You can beat it in the zeros, but it's of course not a very good matchup. So I'd rather come in here, basically get off some debuffs, and look to try to deal with Dragonair here. Dragonair, again, against Registeel in the twos, can do quite decently. I think I told you about the Azu match earlier. Actually, come to think of it, I'm pretty sure that Dragonair beats Reggie in the twos, which is kind of insane. As you can see, like, these Aqua Tails are coming very thick and fast. All I really want to do is get off one last move here on the Dragonair. I'm going to go straight for the Focus Blast. Not going to mess about, not going to try to risk it. I'm going to go for an overfarm. The opponent does go for a catch here. I do go for a slight overfarm. The opponent did just launch a Brave Bird, so they'll not be getting to the move just yet. And at this point, guys, we should be able to IPS. The opponent sees the writing on the wall and clicks the exit door in the top left, and we're going to hop on into the next one. We have a very bad lead here. Umbreon. We have two great answers in the back. We're going to come into Azure, and the opponent comes into Surf Etched. Quite an interesting swap. This thing knows Leaf Blade, and as you're about to see here, Leaf Blades do an absolute ton of damage. But the bubbles from Azure are really adding up here. I decided I have no need to go for Play Rough. This thing is so glassy that with bubbles, the Ice Beam should be sufficient to KO here. The opponent goes for another Leaf Blade, and this is actually getting kind of dicey now. What I might actually end up having to do here is just take a shield advantage. We're going to go for another Ice Beam, but this is quite close. Can the opponent actually counter us down or get to back-to-back Leaf Blades? I think I decide to shield. I think that I'm going to be able to get to the move. Night Slash coming through, that's the annoying thing. They start going for Night Slashes towards the end, trying to fish for that boost. Super annoying, but they do manage to take us out. Now what I decide to do here is come in and go for a farm down with Sableye. Like with Azu, returns do a lot of damage to this thing. The opponent's going to get off a foul play. That's fine, we can definitely live this quite comfortably. We just need to hope that Reggie can sweep. We go for a return. That'll basically put it into Focus Blast range. You need to throw two moves on Umbreon with Reggie to actually take it out. So we've got it into Focus Blast range, and in comes Azumarill! Ladies and gents, this is about the best thing I could have possibly seen in the back. Or, you know, I could have seen like a Noctowl, but, you know, we don't see too many of these days. Once again, we're not getting the 65% chance of the debuff. Quite unfortunate, and the opponent is on Play Rough, so we're actually in quite a good position here now. We've put the Umbreon into range for one move. We're going to go for a Focus Blast, we're going to fully charge it, and look to basically lock on down the Azu. That's perfect. We're still not going to be in a range where we can get taken out by Umbreon. Registeel actually beats Umbreon in CMP as well. So I think what I decide to do here is build up, and yeah, the opponent, they realize that, you know, one more move's not going to do it. I'm going to actually come out with the move. So even if they had a move, it still wouldn't make a difference, and that's good games. Now, Talonflame lead's quite awkward. You do sort of have to stay in. Like I said, Reggie does beat it in the zeros, but you don't want to swap into it. Azu's our main answer to it, so we just stay right here, basically. I'm going to pretty much stick to the most optimal timing, which is 2 and 7, just to make sure I can get off as much moves as possible. And if the opponent throws in bad timing, they actually let that move through. That's absolutely huge. We actually can look to a take alignment, and you know, I think against Talonflame teams, you just try to take alignment. Talonflame teams do tend to be quite RPS. You're going to have waters and grass types in the back, so you just want to get it lined up where you want it. In this case, they have a Sand Slash. They end up letting that move through, and that's absolutely vital here because we can actually look to start bubbling this down now. That one foul play puts them in bubble down range, and of course the opponent will get off two moves, but the amazing thing is our Reggie is not going to have to see this Sand Slash. The opponent's actually staying in here to get one last move off, so maybe they are quite weak to this in the back. We'll have a look to see what comes in. In comes Cresselia, in comes Registeel. This is basically game over. There's not a whole lot the opponent can do at this point. Does free Moonblasts even get us into the red? Future Sight, okay. By the looks of things, about 3 Future Sights would get us into the red, so definitely very, very tricky here, guys. 3 Future Sights for the red. We finally get the attack fall, and I think at this point the opponent should really just be top lefting. We swapped out pretty early as well, so like we just basically need to not get caught on. I can see my switch timer coming up here, and to be honest with you guys, even if they do catch on me, I'm not really that worried. I would almost rather get caught on, get rid of that bloody Sand Slash. Now also guys, I've got a ton of energy in Azu, so I decided to swap one out here. I'm going to go for a Play Rough. I throw after 2, which when you're swapping in I think is good timing. Generally speaking, you want to go for 1, 3, or 5, and we're basically going to start committing to the bubble down. Yeah, I wasn't going to throw that move. The opponent goes for the catch and slash. They failed to do so, and that's the top left. Once again guys, we have a Azumarill lead. We're going to see how the opponent plays it. Optimal timing here for me is 10, so I'm at 9, and I get the extra because the opponent throws an alignment, so that's perfectly fine. We'll shield up an Ice Beam, kind of annoying. Pretty easy bait for the opponent to make because we just have to shield up everything. Now we'll see if we can get a shield back in return. The opponent does shield that up, knowing that if we land that, it can get very, very dicey. We do go for another catch, fail to do so, and back in comes yet another Trevenant, guys. It's almost like we've seen this exact team before. Now the good thing is here guys, we've got an energy advantage, and the opponent actually just lets that go. That's quite interesting. I love any one move here. So what I could actually probably do is shield once and bubble it down. I'm thinking, can we actually get away with this? I think it would be very, very close. I decide, okay, we're just going to let this through. But I actually think that might have been a possibility. Those bubbles were really chunking the Trevenant. Now at this stage, guys, we did get an extra farm of Sableye. And as you can see, we've got an absolute ton here. Back in comes Azu. I decided to go straight for the move because last time they were in alignment, so I'm just expecting them to do the same thing. This is tricky because I'm going to have to throw one move of Reggie anyway. So I decide, okay, I'm going to save this, and in comes Galarian Stunfisk. They go straight for Rock Slide, which is quite interesting. I see that as a good opportunity to swap out, They don't know what health I'm on. I've got a Foul Play banged, and we're gonna come into our big Reggie. Now we can easily live on move, right? We can live at any Earthquake, and we're basically even on energy. Now the reason that Stunfisk actually beats Reggie is because it wins CMP. They get to the mud shots, the Earthquake in 8 mud shots and then 7, and it's 15 turns for each of those, so it's 30 turns. As you can see, that would have been CMP tie. So this is looking very, very tricky here now. I think I basically need 2 foul plays. The opponent goes for a swap out. Unfortunately, we're just too low to, Shadow Claw down and get off 2 moves. Good games well played to the opponent, and in comes Wistaddy Cash. Most of the time, I see Wistaddy Cash in the back with Skarmory, so I'm thinking if I can get the alignment I want, I'll most likely get a Registeel on Skarmory. Now, the opponent shields up, which I find to be quite interesting. Scald coming through, we're going to go ahead and shield up. Whiscash is so good now in this meta. I thought the opponent might go for a catch, so I decided to go for an overfarm. The opponent knows they lose CMP, but they do go straight for another one anyway. And I'm actually going to YOLO off a big return here, thinking the opponent's got me debuffed, so they shouldn't really be shielding this. They're shielding this again. How weak are they to Sable Eye in the back? I think that was a little bit too ambitious. I should have just went maybe for a foul play, because as you can see, that foul play, before debuffed, would have been doing a lot of damage. So we're probably going to come in with Azu, look to go for a bubble down. We do have a shield advantage, and I'm thinking, okay, our Registeel will never see this thing, so this is going to be potentially a big sweep. In comes Mandibles, and then in comes a Reggie of their own. We come into our own Reggie, and I think the opponent sees the writing on the wall here eventually. I can just let this move go. I do not need to shield this. The opponent goes for a Zap Cannon. They don't even get a debuff, and they just hit that top left. Guys, you can live a Focus Blast from Reggie, and also in that situation, you have to recognize the opponent's win con. They basically need to get a debuff on me so that I can't, almost take them out and bubble them down or whatever, and then look to try and sweep up with Mandibles. I was just not going to shield that. I'd rather keep a shield for Azu, get an overfarm, and look to deal with it that way. Now, in comes Talonflame lead. Once again, we're going to stay on in here. If I can get all shields down and come in and bubble it down with Azu, I'm pretty happy with that situation. We're going to stick to the best possible timing, which again is 2 and 7. I want to do a little chat about Incinerate here because it's a bit of a tricky move, and it's something that may trip you up, right? If you're using a 2-turn move, as mentioned, 2 and 7 is optimal timing. They only get 1 free turn, so it's 4 turns for your 2 Shadow Claws, plus the 1 turn to throw the move. That's basically perfect timing. Now, on a Talonflame, what you can look to do is if you're not looking to take the Incinerate damage, right? Let's say, for example, you're in a situation where 0 to 0 shields, and you want to get off your move, but 1 Incinerate will probably come very close to killing you, or it will take you out. Instead of doing 2 and fro, do a 1 and fro, or if 2 Incinerates will take you out, you can throw 4 and fro, or if 3 Incinerates will take you out, you can do 6 and fro. So basically, if you throw in good timing, which is, like I said, 2 and 7, you will take the Incinerate damage as you're throwing your charge move, providing that it KOs. However, if you throw on less optimal timing, you will not take the Incinerate damage. So that is just something to keep in mind if you're trying to sort of optimize your gameplay against Talonflame a little bit. Now, in this next matchup, we have a very interesting lead. The opponent goes for a catch on Umbreon, which is like, bro, whatever. Whatever, bro. Whatever. We're going to build all the way back up again and come into Azu to basically wall the energy. They can go for Last Resorts. Umbreon's such a good Pokemon that Last Resorts do start getting Azu quite low. They go for Psychic, which of course has been nerfed. They must be fishing for the debuff, or they must have some sort of specific thing in mind, like Poliwrath with this team. I'm pretty happy to see Psychic here, just so little damage to my Azu, and we can basically look to bubble up and just get an absolute ton of energy here. What I'm even thinking is I could probably bubble up a little bit, even go for an undercharged Ice Beam, but they are starting to get me quite low. Like, Umbreon is just so thick it can hang in there. I do farm up to 100 energy, and yeah, we're just going to fully charge, just get rid of the Umbreon, make sure I'm not taking any more damage. We're going to go for an Ice Beam on this thing, and at this point, guys, I'm thinking, okay, so we've got a Skarmory in the lead. What is Skarmory supposed to beat? It's supposed to beat, like, fighting Pokemon. It doesn't do that well against Poly, but it's supposed to beat fighting Pokemon, right? What do they have in the back? Probably something else weak to fighting. So I'm thinking Reggie actually might be in an amazing position here, because we wall all of this energy, and Focus Blast will just one-shot basically anything that's weak to fighting, right? I decided to go for the Focus Blast, thinking that 1, it's going to be enough, and 2, if they catch it on their Scrafty, it will actually look to one-shot them, or very close to one-shot. That was the thinking there. The opponent goes for a Pop. This is getting very, very awkward. We do go for a Zap Cannon, hopefully looking to get the shield off the opponent. The opponent does, of course, shield it, and we don't get another debuff. Once again, so annoying. I actually YOLO the return here. Very, very interesting play here. Let's see if they let it through. They do not. Maybe a little bit ambitious. Maybe I should be going for a bait in this situation. This is going to be quite annoying. I kind of have to shield up these power punches. I know they're only going to be pops, but look how much damage these counters are doing. The question is, guys, how much does a return actually do to this thing? As you can see, the Shadow Claws are really starting to rip through it, even though resisted. Does this KO? It actually does KO. To my complete surprise, I did not think I was going to KO. I thought I was losing that match. To my complete surprise, that does KO, and that's good games. In the next match, we have a mirror lead. Sableye versus Sableye. We're going to look to go straight for the foul play. I'd rather just see who wins CMP. I've got a slightly attack-weighted Sableye, so I'd be more than happy to just basically get this move off. Try to see who wins CMP and take it from there. Because, you know, it is possible they could be weak to Sableye in the back, so I'd rather know, like, who's in the winning position. The opponent goes for the catch on Azu once again. I'm getting foul plays caught left, right, and center. However, what we're going to do is what we done the last time. We're going to build all the way back up to 7, and then look to go into our own Azu. This time, the opponent does go for the Ice Beam straight away, and the opponent's in just complete shambles now. One good thing to know is, in the 1-to-1 shield, Reggie does perfectly fine against Sableye, and I decided to throw in my Azu here, because, of course, we can absorb the damage so much better. And just in case the opponent does have Hydro Pump, I would rather, of course, eat it on Azu. The opponent here is going to go for Play Rough, so they are in Play Rough. So we would have been resisting all the moves with Reggie. And I think what I look to do here is actually go for a CMP tie. Quite unfortunate. As you can see here, we have 0, 14, 15. I don't think this one move will KO anyway. So either way, we're going to have to bubble this the whole way down. Oh, actually it does KO from there, so I guess that's pretty decent. We've got a decent amount of health. And if the opponent comes back into their Sableye, which they do, they're coming in for the aggressive farm down. Can we get to this move? The opponent thinks that we are getting to the move. So to fire off a foul play, I decide, okay, I'm going to return the shield. I'm going to pause the turn here. Yeah, I paused the turn, make sure the Shadow Claw came through, and then look to fire off the Ice Beam. If the opponent shields, we'll go for the combo wombo, the chicken snack box and coke combo play, but unfortunately the opponent anticipated it and called it on Mandibles of all things. The Flying Umbreon, can we get to her? The opponent throws a move here, so I'm like, yo, thank you so much, bro, you're actually really helping here. So at this point, guys, we come into our Reggie. We look to do Reggie things here. We're going to farm all the way up to 100 energy. The good thing is here as well, they're on Air Slash, which means they're slower to the moves, and the fast moves are all resisted here. We get off the Zap Cannon here, I think on good timing. We're at 100 energy anyway, and we look to, yeah, put them in a position where we can lock on the whole way down. Once again, the opponent does not want that to happen. They're going to come in with their Sableye, a foul play coming through, and I'm thinking here again, I'm not sure if a Focus Blast KOs at this time. It from here, it definitely does. If you get a Zap Cannon through, a Focus Blast will KO. In comes Mandibles. They do get off another move. Mandibles can just hang on by the skin of their teeth. But I think at this point, guys, I can even just look to, yeah, just lock on the whole way down. It would have been tempting to throw an Azu to get the bubble through, but good games. And we do finally see a Charm lead. I go for one and throw just to see what they're running. And I don't actually take the Charm on my Sableye. The opponent actually says in to get off a move, which I thought was quite interesting. So maybe they don't have the most amazing answer. They go for a Psy Shock. They are getting us very, very low. I pause a turn, make sure they're not going to catch a player off on a Registeel or something. And the opponent's actually staying in here for the long haul. They do finally go for the catch on Clodsire. so annoying, dude. So annoying. The opponent's outplaying me here at the minute. Can they actually mudshot me down? They can't. They can't mudshot me down. We do get off an Ice Beam. This is absolutely huge. If we did not get off this Ice Beam, it might have just been game over. Now at this point, we've got them into foul player range with Shadow Claws, and we might be okay here. The opponent goes for Stone Edge Bait. Super annoying. Can we get to this move in time? I overfarm a little bit too much here, and I think I basically am committed to double shielding this. Yeah, they go for an Earthquake. I'm going to try to commit to the farm down here. They do get off a last second move, guys. I showcased Clodsire in my last video. This is what this Pokemon is all about. This Pokemon is just busted. I decided to go straight for a foul play, knowing that the opponent's getting low enough that this will look to basically KO. We come into our Reggie. The opponent has a Poliwrath in the back. Ladies and gentlemen, how much does a Zap Cannon do to Poliwrath? That's what it all comes down to. If we can take out this Poliwrath, we can. When we don't quite take it out, but unfortunately for the opponent, they are not able to get off a move. Once again, guys, that is the power of Registeel in this meta. You can look to sweep games so hard with it. It's an amazing safe swap. With shields down, you have a Zap Cannon and Focus Blast to hit things with, man. Such a strong Pokemon. A foul play coming through on the Dugong. They actually let it through this time, which is quite interesting. So I think here, I'm going to just play the zeros with them, I guess. Yeah, looks like we're going for another foul play. I'm pretty much just trying to get a shield off the opponent. I'm never really good at reading these Dugong lines. So yeah, I guess I just shield up. They let that move through. They're going to play at the zeros. I decide, okay, we'll just try to basically take alignment here. In the Great League, man, I feel like if you take alignment, you can't really go too far wrong. The opponent comes into a Medi, really makes you think, what do they have in the back? If they have a Medicham and they're weak to Sableye, what could it possibly be? It has to be Trevenant, right? Like, that's about the only reasonable thing here. The opponent comes into a Bastiodon, in comes Registeel. I'm not too sure what the opponent was doing, to be honest with you. We're going to go straight for this Focus Blast. We farm up to 100 energy. Have a shield and they can live this move. I just decided that like going for the bait's probably the lose con here. The opponent does end up calling it, knowing that they sort of have to make a call. They're in a pretty rough position here. Yeah, they just decided to top left. Good games well played. And let's hop on into the next one, guys. We have a Dirty D lead, aka Defense Deoxys. I stay in here for a little bit too long, probably. I think I'm just kind of greedy to try and get the shield on the swap. I think that's kind of maybe, I'm not sure if that's like a good feature or a bad feature of my gameplay, but the thing here is we can actually look to come in and just bubble it the whole way down now. I guess if I do come in like a little bit behind in energy against Gligar, it does get a little bit awkward, so like maybe this is absolutely fine. We just bubble it the whole way down, and in comes Deoxys. And guys, this is another match once again, where it's like you get a break point with the bubbles. You can see these bubbles are absolutely chunking Deoxys. Now we get off another player off. The opponent does go for a potential Thunderbolt. I'm not sure if I live this from here, we just about do. And yeah, we're in a very, very good position now. The opponent's not going to get a ton of energy with the Deoxys, and as you can see, they're super low. They go for a snipe with their own Sableye. So I think what I decide to do here is I come in with my own Sableye, basically look to force the shields here. In the 1-to-1 shield, Registeel does pretty fine against Sableye, and I also want to Shadow Claw them into a range where Zap Cannon will KO. So we get off one fall play, trade shields with the opponent, and then we come into Registeel. This is still going to be a fairly close match. We've misaligned the timers quite a lot here, so the opponent has some like catch opportunities. What I decide here is shield up the first move. It's going to do the most damage considering we can get a Zap Cannon debuff. However, if my luck suggests anything, I most likely won't get it, but we do get the Zap Cannon debuff. That is absolutely huge. Now, the only thing I really have to watch out for in this matchup is if the opponent goes for a catch. And the awkward thing is, guys, we've misaligned the timers so much that we kind of need to throw the move anyway. So this is a little bit awkward. We go for an undercharge, not quite enough. Can we still take this match? The opponent goes for the foul play, guys. In this situation, I'm not gonna lie, I was completely off track with energy. Foul play coming for it, doesn't quite KO. We come into our own Sableye and just immediately top left. So, good games well played, guys. That's the importance of counting your moves. And we do go 3-2 in the final set. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I do highly recommend trying out this team. It's a very classic team, but it has been working very well, and I can't recommend it enough. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for a brand new video.